Howdy peeps, hope you're doing well. So, my last video, can't remember what it was about if I'm totally honest. Let's go and have a look. Oh, preparation, eh? Right, it was living free versus a relationship with kids. Sort of giving a bit of my point of view of how we all see each other's lives in through rose-tinted glasses, and we think that we want what the other person has. Obviously, I've done a few regarding dating apps over the last 6 months easily. I've actually been doing them for the last six or 7 years, but I've just had one come up on my feed which I think is quite relevant and quite telling of what a lot of people are facing when it comes down to internet dating apps and all of this. So here's what Blondie has to say. Now I want to start off with saying, although she looks relatively attractive, my first impressions is that she comes across as somewhat of a Karen, in my personal and unknowing opinion. But let's listen, because it says everything you need to know.
For me, at least, I want the guy to text first, because I'm not very good at openers. I'm not the one to say hey, how are you? So I usually have them say something first, and then maybe I'll say something back. But
yeah, maybe you'll say something back, or chances are you're probably not going to say anything. But carry on.
Never met up with them, never extended it. Sometimes I just don't even answer the text, because for me it's more of it's fun to match with people. It's more of a game. I like matching with people, swiping. Yeah, it's just fun.
Yeah,
it's just something to do. It's not
yeah, it's just something to do. So she's gone on there, and it's ironic and moronic as well, because later on in life it'll be, where have all the good men gone? So, well, how many did you ignore? How many did you just treat like a game because you wanted to feel better about yourself? You want to get all these guys matching with you and sending you messages, and
my intention is not to date people, which I know.
And your intention isn't even to fucking date people. So you're a complete messer. In other words, you're messing people about. You're giving them some kind of, although self-perceived hope, but hope nonetheless. And I say self-perceived because, when you're on dating apps, as a guy, you sort of, you got to keep about yourself. You got to show willing, and I don't know, some people would say go as far as putting on a front of some description. I wouldn't say do that, because once they realise that that is not what you're like, they're going to be disappointed, and it's just going to be a reason for them to not want to date you any further, or not want to get to know you any better. But at the same time, when you're dealing with sort of people like this, and you're expected to keep that mindset of, oh yes, I'll find the next one. Oh yes, this one will be interested. And again, you could send 300 messages out in a day, and you'd be lucky to get maybe 3 replies. I mean, maybe it does depend more on what you look like. I've often said, it's look, man, with me, appearance-wise, what you see is what you get, right? I'm not about to start wearing suits unless I'm attending a wedding, a funeral, a formal event of some description. Other than that, I don't wake up in the morning and put on a suit and go out doing stuff, right? It's just not me. It never has been. And I won't make that out to be what I do. It'll only disappoint. It's like first dates and stuff like that. Everyone's, I say everyone, I'll use that term sparingly. But they want to put on their sort of best efforts for the first date. And I'm like, well, you're better off not. You're better off just turning up as you would dress in every day. And the same goes for the ladies. It's don't be overdoing your makeup. Because at the end of the day, especially with makeup, after the day's over and your makeup starts fading, and you're not as beautiful as you made out to be. With all due respect, I mean, some people look better without makeup, and some people can, I suppose, improve their looks with. But it's just I think people have a really hard time in being themselves and accepting what they look like without the facade of what they want other people to think about them based on what they wear and what they look like. And the same goes for what they drive or what they ride. Especially, I mean, we see this a lot within the sort of biker communities. You get your weekend warriors. You got and this is not. I'm not trying to like be horrible and like slate them. You get someone that works in an office Monday to Friday. Nothing wrong with office work either. But they'll take the car into work Monday to Friday, and then they might have a motorcycle parked up in their garage or whatever. And then at the weekend, the leather jacket comes out, the cut comes out, the jeans go on, and all of that, and they're riding around making out like they do it all the time. Then of course they get caught out in a shower and they don't, starts raining or whatever. They don't know how to deal with it because they haven't ridden their motorcycle in the wet. It's a similar sort of concept actually, of what I was talking about, putting on a facade of who you want other people to think you are. It's like, just be yourself. They'll either like you or they won't, and if they don't, there's nothing you can do about it. Again, don't start changing unless there's actually something being pointed out about your mannerisms. There's not a great deal you're going to be able to do to convince other people otherwise. And if they like you, they like you. And if they only like you as a friend, then they only like you as a friend. It's one of them. But when you got someone like this, who's deliberately going onto the apps to make themselves feel better, and there's no shortage of women that do this, right? There's plenty of women out there that are in relationships. Maybe they've got some kind of psychological issue going on, but they'll be in a relationship, they'll have a perfectly good life in that sense, as us outsiders would see it. It's like, well, what have you got to complain about? You've got a good man, you've both got jobs, you spend time with each other, and yet you're still going on dating apps to make yourself feel better about yourself. It's like and again, this isn't, someone like that isn't relationship material, realistically speaking, because if they're willing to go onto the apps, and maybe this is just my suspicious mind about it, but it's like, if they're willing to go on the apps, then what's stopping them making the next step? If they see someone that they like, or they like more than what they like you, they're attracted to someone else more than they are attracted to you, And again, with this whole promiscuity thing, whereas, if you look at a lot of women nowadays, I don't know if it's a generation thing, I think it could well be, whereas they're trying to change the rules of dating in the sense, or even relationships, in the sense that it's okay for them to be promiscuous. It's okay for them to have more than one lover or one partner. And you're not allowed to get jealous about that, and you're not allowed to complain, and you're not allowed to have a problem with it. Otherwise, you're toxic. And it's like, no, no. And they have this, people that think like that have this mindset where they have this entitlement to be able to have a relationship like that, but as soon as the shoe gets switched to the other foot, and you're in that situation, we've seen this before, women ask for an open relationship with their partner, and then they instantly regret it because their partner's able to get someone else that they might have actually been a better match with in the first place. And then you hear about the women complaining about it. So, well, these are your rules that you lot designed, as time has progressed, and you're calling all the men toxic, and yet when we play the same game with your same rules, you've still got a problem with it. If they didn't have a fucking double standards, they wouldn't have any. But let's carry on with this one.
Probably is hard for people because they're actually trying to find a girl, and I'm taking up space on the swipes, but
yeah, you're wasting people's time by being on an app that you have no intention, really, of using for what it's designed for, and you're going to be coming up in people's suggestions who might actually, in some cases, think that they've got something on offer that you might appreciate, and you're only there to make yourself feel better about yourself.
It's just like that's how I use
Fuck.
the app.
So you use it for attention and validation and to feel good about yourself. Guys are interested in you when you're feeling lonely or whatever.
Yeah. Also, it's fun to look at cute boys in your area. For me, at least, I want the guy to text first because I'm not very good at like openers. Like, I'm not the one to say like, "Hey, how are you?" So
Yeah, because you have no intention of talking to other people unless you get spoken to first. And then, of course, that all-time law of attraction rule. You know, if she doesn't find the other person attractive, then she's not going to reply anyway. You know.
I usually have them say something first, and then maybe I'll say like something back. But
No.
I've never met up with them, never extended it. Sometimes I just don't even answer the text because for me it's more of like it's fun to like match with people. Like it's more
it's just a
game. Like I like matching with people.
But yeah, and that's just it. You know, so and that's another reason, because the amount of women that are out there doing that, and like I said, the amount of women that I've met on dating apps, still been married, they've still been in relationships, you know, and these are all things that they don't actually initially tell you. You know, we talk a lot about monkey branching, and that is the exact definition there. With one guy, you know, they'll go on a dating app or whatever, and if something else better comes up or comes along, there's a chance that they'll monkey branch from the guy that they're with onto the other guy. And again, there's, you know, speaking of that, there's all these claims that women are so strong and independent these days. And you know, I remember a time breaking up with one of my exes, and that it was that scenario of she'd found someone better in a location where she wanted to be, and all of this, and it's like, all right, fuck it, whatever. And as she was taking her stuff out of the dwelling, I said to her, do you want a hand with that? Oh, no, give her a hand with her bags, you know, help her go, sort of thing. Some might think that is quite cold, and you'd probably be right to a degree. It was quite a cold thing to do, but at the end of the day, you know, she that particular ex chose the path that she had chosen. And I'd been through enough already to get to that stage, so when it did come to moving out, it was like, do you want a hand? And do you know what her response was? No, I'm okay, thanks, I'm a strong, independent woman. And I just fucking laughed. I'm like, strong and independent? It's like, you're literally relationship hopping from one place to the next whilst convincing yourself, but no one else, that you're strong and independent. It's like, there's nothing strong and independent about that, because you're dependent on the other guy having somewhere to live so that you can move in with him. There's nothing independent about that. It's literally the fucking opposite. But whatever. I mean, again, look, it's not that I harbour some kind of fucking feelings of resentment from back then. No, it's just a classic example of the mindset some of these women put themselves in, and try and convince everyone else that they're strong and independent and empowered and all this. And meanwhile, their actions are not congruent with their words. You know, and there's a lot of that with women today as well, which is why a lot of them can't find a decent man. It's like, just listen to what they say and watch what they do. And if their actions and words don't match, they're no good. It's as simple as that. They're no good for a relationship, because when it comes down to something that actually really mattered, that's going to be their exact same, you know, they're going to go straight back to their passive, like, you know, women often do. And again, I'm not saying that to have a dig at them, I'm just saying it is what it is, right? So yeah, there's a lot of messes, and this is just why dating is finished. In, you know, as far as online is concerned, I mean, you know, plus, like I said before, you're fighting the algorithm of the app itself, and you know, if the app starts matching everyone with everyone that's a good fit, well, then they're not going to make any money out of it. So they're kind of reliant on sending you either fake profiles or people that are blatantly not going to be a match for you, because otherwise, you know, for, what was it, 30 quid a month, I think. Yeah, if you sign up and you pay your 30 quid within the first time you signed up, you know, and they match you straight away, they've lost 30 quid. You know, well, they've gained 30 quid, but they can't keep stringing you along for another 3-6 weeks or whatever, or 3-6 months for that matter, you know. So there's that side to contend. Then you got women like Karen over there, you know. It just makes dating so much more less likely, especially internet dating, for guys. You know, because that's when, and again, like I said before, I think you do start noticing that they are a lot more cutthroat with their criteria and their ideals of what they want in a man. When realistically speaking, their ideals, you're only going to find most men are going to come close to some of them. There might be spot on for a few, but again, because of this narrow-minded mindset, they won't accept anything less, and so they end up, you know, cutting their nose to spite the face, as it were. You know, they cut themselves short, but that's a them problem, not a me problem. So anyway, just a few things I wanted to talk about. Hope you've enjoyed. Hope you enjoy the weekend. Till the next one, stay cool, stay free. Peace out.